You don't have to die to go to hell. You've already been there, but no one ever told you that's what it was. You've been told your entire life that heaven and hell are places after death. But what if that idea is only half the truth? Because think about it. Who actually came back to confirm any of this, and why did we accept it without ever questioning it? And this is where it gets uncomfortable. The belief feels ancient, powerful, and universal, yet completely unverified. Still, every culture repeats the same script. Do good, go up, do bad, go down, like a story we inherited, not discovered. But let me ask you something. If heaven and hell are future destinations, why do you feel both while you're still alive? Now here's the part most people avoid. Maybe heaven and hell were never meant to describe places at all. Because if you look closely at your life, you'll notice something you can't ignore. You've already experienced both. Think about moments when everything felt calm, meaningful, almost perfect, even when nothing outside actually changed. Then think about moments filled with anxiety, anger, or regret, where your own mind became the hardest place to be. And here's the truth most people miss. None of those moments required death, judgment, or divine gates. So what if heaven and hell aren't places you go, but states you experience, shifting with your perception of reality? That sounds simple, almost too simple, but simple truths are often the ones we're trained to overlook. And instead of theory, let me show you something more powerful, a story that explains everything. A samurai once approached a monk, demanding to understand the difference between heaven and hell. He didn't ask calmly, he demanded an answer, wanting certainty about how to reach the better one. The monk looked at him and said, "Why should I explain something so important to someone like you?" And this wasn't random. It was intentional, designed to trigger something deeper. The samurai's ego exploded instantly, his anger rising as he reached for his sword without thinking. In that exact moment, as anger took control, the monk said quietly, "This is hell." And just like that, everything shifted. The samurai froze, realizing nothing outside had changed, only his state of mind had completely taken over. He saw how quickly anger turned his experience into something chaotic, painful, and destructive. As he let go, calmness replaced it. Awareness, clarity, even gratitude began to take over. The monk smiled and said, "And this is heaven." But here's the deeper truth hidden in that moment. Nothing external changed. No place, no reward, no punishment. Only his internal state shifted. And that one shift completely transformed his reality. This isn't just a story. It's a mirror reflecting what's happening inside you every single day. Because every time you get lost in anger, fear, or resentment, you're creating your own version of hell. And every time you feel peace, gratitude, or clarity, you step into heaven without going anywhere. Now here's the part that changes everything. If this is true, then you're not waiting to go to heaven or hell. You're choosing them in real time. And that realization is powerful, but also uncomfortable, because it means the responsibility shifts back to you. And this is where most people resist. It's easier to believe in a distant heaven than to control your mind in the middle of real life. It's easier to blame life than to admit your interpretation shapes your experience. But once you see this, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how fast your mind moves between peace and chaos, sometimes in seconds. And this is where awareness becomes power. You don't control everything that happens, but you do influence how deeply it affects you. And that influence is the difference between reacting blindly and living consciously. So the real question isn't where you go after death. It's how you experience life right now. Let's make this practical. One of the fastest ways to shift your state is gratitude, focusing on what exists instead of what's missing. Gratitude doesn't change your situation instantly, but it changes how your situation feels. And perception changes everything. Another key is detachment. Not ignoring life, but not letting every moment control you either. Detachment creates space, and that space gives you control over your response. Now here's where it gets real. Your mind assigns meaning to everything, and that meaning shapes your entire reality. Change the meaning, and you reduce suffering without changing the situation itself. And this leads to something deeper. Mindfulness, being present, removes the weight of past regrets and future fears. Because most suffering doesn't come from reality, it comes from your thoughts about it. And this is the shift most people never make. When you become aware of your mind, you stop being controlled by it and start controlling your experience. Life doesn't become perfect, but you stop turning every problem into unnecessary suffering. Heaven isn't perfection, it's inner stability, even when life isn't. Let that sink in. And if you're starting to see things differently, I'm Marcus. I decode ideas like this. Consider subscribing. Whether heaven and hell exist after death or not, you already experience versions of both every day. So instead of waiting for a future reward, you start building that experience now, moment by moment. Because the truth is, you're not preparing for heaven or hell. You're living in one based on how you think. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing a destination and start taking control of your mind.